Good morning, everyone. Sorry I'm late. I was having some technical difficulties. Hopefully it is the end of them. My continue to have difficulties with my computer. I'm going to try to keep going. Can everybody hear Jeremy okay? He is coming to us via phone. So Jeremy, could you just give us a little bit of a talk here?
Hello to everybody in the chat, especially Comox, it looks like.
Oh, yes, Karesna, yeah.
Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah. Oh, hello, Jeremy,
Yes,
Diane says. Yeah, sounds good. Okay.
Oh, somebody from Victoria.
Yes. So hopefully, even if you lose my visual, that you're going to continue. We're struggling here. There's something, of course, just in the right moment going wrong with the computer. Always seems to work that way.
So my audio goes and yours does too.
Yeah, okay. All right, I will apologize now if we lose you folks. My technology skills go as far as turning this on. And unfortunately, my tech savvy husband has had to go to work today. So, so let's get started and hope that we stay online. Okay, can everybody hear me?
You're sending video.
Okay, yay. Sorry, everyone. We had a major power outage that happened a couple of days ago. Somebody hit a telephone pole, and we've been having issues with our connectivity in our home ever since then. So it's been a real struggle. So I'm on my husband's computer, and hopefully, yay, Apple technology will be okay to go, because mine was a Windows computer. So let's hope that's going to make the difference. So,
Heather, if you could monitor the chat from here on out, though, it helps me keep my
screen yes, absolutely. I'm good to go. So welcome, everybody. I apologize for my lateness here. Let's get going so that we don't keep you too long. So welcome to our second series of Fit to Move. We're talking about achieving results, talking a little bit about goals versus systems and what the difference between those things are, and how both can benefit you in achieving the things you want to achieve. You may have noticed, some of you I know have been registered for all 6 of our series. The last 3 have been canceled. However, Jeremy and I would like to be able to reinstate those at some point. So please watch for future. We've lost our other facilitators on the last 3 webinars, but Jeremy has graciously agreed to join me and try to reinstate those. The days and times will likely be different, but him and I will be looking to get those going again for you. So I apologize.
And this doesn't affect next week's. Next week's is still a go as planned. It's just the ones after that.
Yes, and that one's going to be awesome. So I really hope you guys will join. It will not be me. It will be my coworker, Carissa, joining Jeremy next week. I actually have a week off. I'm so excited. So pleasantly looking forward to that, although I will miss all of you. I helped create the program for next week, but I will not be delivering. So let's get started. All right.
Yeah, so I think this slide's mine. By the way, just to review for anybody who wasn't tuned into episode 1, I'm Jeremy Persini, and you're not seeing any video feed of me because I'm not sending it. I don't have the tech in my home to do that. So if you're only hearing my audio, that's not a glitch, right? Although you are seeing an image, a file photo of me recently taken on the bottom right of certain screens, okay?
Looks just like you, Jeremy.
Yeah, so look, as Heather has briefly mentioned, we're going to be talking about goal systems and a lot about habits today. Okay, by the way, Heather, if my cadence gets too high, just remind me to slow down, because this might make it hard to hear me. Okay, so yeah, as Heather briefly mentioned, goals versus systems and what that is and why it's important. So, here we're going to be drawing heavily on a very acclaimed author, James Clear, and this is his quote, that goals are about the results you want to achieve, and systems are about the processes that lead to those results. Now, this might seem like a tremendously straightforward, like not even a very helpful idea, but, as we're going to get into today, if you really accept this premise, then you can engineer better choices in your life. You can make the good habits easier to choose, and this is obviously has very important ramifications on your physical fitness, which is our primary emphasis. That's sort of our niche topic, our application of his ideas today. So let's get going.
So before we get going, as many of you know who have been here before, I just need to read out our disclaimer before we get started. The presentation you're about to view is the intellectual property of the Department of National Defense. Any reproduction or retransmission of the slides contained in this presentation is strictly forbidden. Some of the topics discussed in this webinar may be of a sensitive nature and may not be appropriate for children. Parental discretion is requested. However, I will say that there's a very low likelihood that we will discuss anything that will be uncomfortable. Please understand that people's stories are theirs alone to tell, and anything that's shared by the participants in this webinar, either on camera or in chat, is not to be discussed outside this webinar. The webinar is being recorded and will be available for later viewing on CAF Connection, and they've done a soft launch of that at this point. So I'm not sure if people are able to access yet. I know that I can. Though active participation is encouraged, you may simply want to follow along using chat, video, microphone options. or not using, whichever you prefer. What you will know is that if you look at our recordings, we do not record the chat, so you can't see it. However, you will hear me or Jeremy comment on things that people have said in the chat, so just being aware of that. So our first poll, let's find out who our audience is today. And let us know how you're affiliated with us in the poll off to your right. Great. Okay.
Oh, I've got some veterans, nice.
Yes, excellent. Love to see that. And personal training, a couple of people that are veterans. One was a military nurse, one was a pilot, and they're both in their late 70s, and they're amazing to work with, so I love my veterans. All right, so as I said, we're going to be talking about goals and systems. So this is a very simplistic concept of what goals versus systems might look like. I'm a hiker, so my goal is to be able to summit a mountain or summit several through the summers every year. This is a portion of the system that I follow off to the right. This is just one week of what I'm doing. So it kind of gives you a sense of the system is all of the pieces that I do on a daily basis that are going to get me hopefully to an outcome that I am pleased with. So if you think about it as being, if I was a coach, then my goal might be to win a championship. Your system is what you do to practice every day. If you're a runner, your goal is to run a marathon. And your system is the training schedule for the month. Now, I will say that this is a very simplistic way of looking at a system. So a more complex way of looking at that is for those of you that wear the uniform or have, if you're a soldier, your goal might be to pass your force test and be operationally ready. And your system is a collection of a whole bunch of things that you do every day that contribute to that well-being and that operational readiness. So it could be that you go to bed at 9:30 every day, and that's one piece of your system. It could be that you have a training plan that you follow, like the one that you see on the screen. It could be that you're consistently choosing healthy options when you go into the kitchen. So it's a whole bunch of pieces that are all added together that create that system. So when I think about that, it's, you know, all of the little everyday things that either increase or they decrease your odds of a good outcome. So an example of a poor system might be, and this is an example from my own life, I always got up every morning for years and years, sat in my recliner with my pupper and read a book. And then I would try to summon the energy to take my dog out for a walk after that. I made a simple choice to reverse those two things. And every morning I would put on my clothes and I would immediately go out for the walk with my dog and then sit down to enjoy a coffee and read my book for a little while. And I found that simple change in my system made a huge difference in just how I approached my day and how positive I was feeling about doing more in the day based on that. So bearing that in mind is kind of thinking about those little tiny things that we're doing all day that contribute to good outcomes.
Yes, that's exactly right. Because if you look at that training plan that Heather had up on the screen, right? I wouldn't say that it's a simplistic thing to call that a system. It's more just that there's layers of systems, right? So Heather had a plan there, and her system is what determined whether or not she was adhering to that plan. Okay, and so she just described like a certain way that she was able to modulate her behavior, and so that she was getting better outcomes. But even more in depth, the system. We're going to be talking here about engineering a system so that you're making those good choices more consistently. Okay, so what you're seeing on your screen right now is another big picture concept. Okay, so all that this chart is telling us is that there is a way to behave basically badly and to still get a good result, and that is a function of random chance. So in the grand scheme of things, you could think of there being three factors that are determining an outcome, right? So there's luck, there's habit, and there's choices. Okay, and so obviously with this workshop here today, I can't do anything to improve just your odds of any dumb luck, right? But it is possible to gain mastery of choices and of habits, and that's what we're heavily focused on here today. Just one last word about that is another way of thinking about an outcome, okay, is that, well, this is a simplistic. You will catch me perhaps at times in this webinar discounting the role that dumb luck especially can play in a good outcome, or perhaps that bad luck can play in a negative outcome, right? But it's just that we're heavily focused on what factors are under your control. So parsing that luck element out, we can think of outcomes as being a lagging measure of not your goals, really, but it's your habits. Right? Goals are good things to have. They're necessary, but they are not sufficient. So that's an idea that we're going to be exploring more in depth. Right, so we're going to begin with a 5-step framework for starting good habits. Okay, and we're going to be speaking more generally at this stage of our webinar, but as we go on, we're going to start narrowing this down into precisely what types of habits and what types of systems are specifically important to progress your physical fitness. Okay, so we are going to start with number 1, which is to start with an incredibly small habit. So in other words, you want to start with something, with a level of the activity that is so easy that perhaps it's not hard to say no, but there's no benefit to saying no. Okay? Oh, my screen just refreshed.
Oh,
but it's on the screen. Heather, I'm still good on your end. So if you want, I don't know if I was supposed to do step number 2, but if you could.
Okay, so the second step is to increase your habits in very small ways. So to give an example of that, I like to think about push-ups. Let's say you want to be able to do X number of push-ups, and right now you can do 10. So when we talk about increasing that by 1% every day, as the slide suggests, if I was to add a single push-up every single day, it would take me fractions of seconds to complete that extra push-up. So it's really not a huge amount, and it's so small, as Jeremy said, that we're doing such a small amount that it would be very difficult to say no to. However, if I actually added that one push-up every single day for 30 days, over the course of 30 days, I would have done 775 push-ups. So although it's only 1% a day, that 1% a day is leading us to huge progress and consistent change really, really fast.
Yeah, this is important in understanding why habits are so important, right? Because the reason that you're increasing the dose so narrowly and so in such small increments is because the cost of a good habit, we tend to experience this cost in the present, right? And it tends, it's a cost, right? Cost of bad habits tends to be in the future, right? So this is, as Heather just demonstrated, like this is how time is the friend of a good habit. Anyway, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself because we are going to get to that in good time. But third step in this framework, or element in this framework, is it's to just this is how you eat the elephant, right? It's to break it into smaller chunks, right? So I can imagine, and this is very true. This will be repetition for anybody who joined us for episode 1, but in my former life, I was a long course triathlete, and this was basically my job, right? But I didn't start out as an elite triathlete doing an 8-hour training day. And even when I got to that point, I actually didn't do all that 8 hours in a chunk each day, right? There was rest in between, and there was progression throughout the months and even throughout the years, right? So that's what we're talking about breaking things into doable chunks.
Mm-hmm. So if we take that same idea as the push-ups that we had just discussed, let's say I'm able to now do 20 push-ups, and doing more than that becomes very challenging, but I actually want to be able to do more. Now I'm breaking it down into sets, and maybe I break those sets up throughout the day. So I do 20 in the morning, and I do 20 at lunch, and I do 20 in the evening. And that's those chunks that we're talking about.
Yeah. Okay, so this brings us to the fourth element in the framework, which is, oh, Heather, I'm sorry, I think this is your slide.
That's fine. When you slip, get back on track quickly. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has moments in their life that aren't going well, and maybe they don't have the motivation to be able to do the things they normally do. They commit errors, and at times in their lives, they get off track. The key is not to let it derail you. Missing a habit once will likely have absolutely no measurable impact on your long-term progress. It's important to develop an attitude of flexibility rather than the impulse to be perfectionistic, that all or nothing. My husband is fabulous for this. He's all in with his exercise, and then he's all out, and then he's all in, and then he's all out. And there's nothing in between. It was a couple of summers ago, he decided he was going to start running again. And his first day out, he ran 10K after he hadn't run for at least probably 5 to 10 years. So that was his mentality, and that doesn't work because then he was so sore, and he had a lot of pain for probably 2 weeks before he could even get out and do any kind of activity again after that one run. So just keeping that in mind when we're thinking about those pieces. So think about all of the little things that we can do. It doesn't mean that we are planning to fail, but when we're planning our system, we're planning that we are going to slip, that we are going to have moments when we need to evaluate what could get in the way of our success. So we're looking at it and saying, hey, how am I going to adjust for that? A great example for me is because my work life tends to be change from day to day what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. For me to lay down a specific time when I'm going to do my workout would be a recipe for disaster, and it would mean that I was not going to hit that target. So every day at the end of my day, I look at my next day's schedule and I jot in where that workout's going to fit. It's not always going to fit at 12. It's not always going to fit at 3. It's going to end up in a different place every day. But by being flexible about what that pattern looks like for me, I'm able to be a lot more successful.
Yeah, it's tremendously important. Okay, so element in the framework here is to be patient and stick to a pace you can sustain. And so this has some similarities to the concept of being progressive, like that add 1% every day idea. But I would say that this elementary framework is distinctive for a few reasons. And so perhaps from a physical fitness standpoint, a very special distinction here is that, well, if it's possible to get too excited, like to overestimate your ability, right? And for you to be robbing yourself of long-term results by gaining short-term perfection. Okay, so there is an element to thinking long-term that this fifth element in the framework is getting at, and this is difficult. Like, I don't think there's a complete solution as to how to change your mind about this and how to change your mentality. This goes back to an idea that we've already talked about, which is how with a good habit, the benefit of that is in the future. You're not sensing that right now. So in any event, we are going to get we're going to bring this up more as we delve more into detail. But at this point, we're going to now peel away another layer of all this. And what I'd like to do is talk about, well, how goals fit into everything that we're talking about here, right? Well, it just seems I'm becoming increasingly convinced, not just in my own life, but in my professional life, that of the primacy of systems, right? Goals are, I've brought this up recently, they are, they're helpful things to have. They're necessary even, right? Because it's a filter, right? So it's a way for you to make a decision when you're making a conscious behavioral choice, right? To make the right choice, right? It's a way for teams to coordinate themselves, right? But every single athlete, well, perhaps this is exactly true, but certainly most athletes want to win, right? So like taking marathon, everybody wants to win that, and they would if they could. They don't have that goal in common, right? It's just that what is separating them beyond luck, right? And beyond some hard limitations, like of the physiological nature they can't get around, even among peers, what is separating them quite often is their habits, right? And it's systems that yield habits, right? So another way of looking at this is that a goal is a potential energy. So if I don't want to be that all I mean by that is it's like what goal you choose to make. It determines how far you could go with respect to what it is you're doing. So James Carter has talked about this example of either choosing an IT startup or a pizza restaurant, right? And the potential energy, the potential of going into IT is obviously tremendous. It's probably higher than a pizza shop, right? But having said that, your habit is your floor. Okay, and so if your habits are very poor and you're the IT startup, you might not go as far as that pizza franchise or that pizza enterprise that is just done so well and so consistently, right? And so anyway, I'm going to give you a few reasons right now, just to think or why systems are so important. So one is that with goals, there is a lack of immediate profitability, right? This is where I'm becoming repetitious, but yeah, it's just that all the costs of good habits, and the cost of like a goal really is essentially making your life more difficult. Like it's you aspiring to make the hard choice. That is a hard choice, right? If you could make that easier, you would choose to do that, right? And it's the systems that you can hopefully make that easier. So I think that that's really important. So another reason is the lack of permanent profitability. And so let's talk about like an outcome goal specifically. An outcome goal like the finish line of Ironman. It's possible I brought this up in the last episode. I can't remember, but as you can well imagine, like, or if you're not wearing Ironman, this is what I am a repeat offender of. That's a 3.8K swim, a 180K bike, and a 42-kilometer marathon. And so an average human being, depending on your sex, it's going to take you well in excess of 12 hours of exercise on the day to do that, right? And then at the end of all that, you are getting to a finish line that is maybe 25 meters long and certainly no more than a minute, right? It's such a brief instant in your life, right? And so it's hard to, that is something that is hard to latch onto in order to make good decisions happen and good habits happen, right? You need, I believe, that you need really to address your systems in order to make the Ironman happen, or in other words, to make the 12 months or perhaps longer of training take place that is necessary to complete that Ironman, right? So another reason that I want to give you is this idea of compounding effects over time, right? It's how as I briefly mentioned, with a good habit, time is your friend, right? And with a bad habit, it isn't, right? And so goals, quite often, this is not completely true, but quite often a goal is especially focused just on good habits, and it sort of assumes that you're going to make those good decisions. But sometimes you will. Like sometimes you've chosen an activity that just fits like a lock and key, and you're just going to find motivation you didn't know you have. That is, of course, not always the case, right? Last thing I want to say about this, fourth reason, this is a really important one, is that, well, it has to do with your ambition and your self-image. So falling into that is that true behavior change is it's often thought of that true behavior change is actually identity change. Okay. So from, especially with physical fitness, which is heavily determined by activity, it is doing something. The more frequently that you do something, the more normal that behavior starts to seem. And the less difficult it is to choose to do it, right? You can think of each time you do it, you do that behavior that you are seeking to do as a vote for that type, as a vote of yourself being that type of person, right? And so I just think it's so important, it's so potentially valuable to merge your ambitious vision of yourself with your actual self, right? To make those habits so much easier. You want to talk about nutrition?
Yeah, just one sec. I'm just answering a question here. Yes, so we did add a slide in about nutrition because oftentimes nutrition and fitness are always paired together. They seem to go hand in hand. I believe that there's a lot of other elements that are also very key to good systems outside of that, but we wanted to kind of touch on that piece. This particular webinar is more narrowly focused on physical fitness and not nutritional health. Nevertheless, diet and nutrition is one of the factors that either helps us and helps to promote that wellness and helps to promote physical activity, and not just from a standpoint of I'm eating good food that helps my body, but from a psychological standpoint also, that it's like, okay, I'm taking care of my body with food. I should also take care of my body with movement. And those things often get paired together, which create a much stronger system for us. Okay.
Yes. All right. So we have, so far in the webinar, we are now peeling back the layer where we're talking about systems. But here, I'd like to be just especially clear and exact about what a system is, especially for physical fitness. Okay. So you think of your system as being a collection of factors in your life. These factors are operating all at once. They are determining what decisions you make. Now, because of the decisions that they cause you to make, or perhaps not make, some of these factors with respect to a given goal, physical fitness especially, right? They are either promoting your progression, right? While others are promoting regression. In other words, some are helping you get to where it is that you want to be. Others are putting stress on that, okay? So what do I mean specifically? Well, so let's talk about like factors that are promoting progression, okay? I'll give you an example of this. There is the desire to achieve a relevant goal, okay? So beyond writing that goal down, right, and then just forgetting about it, the actual desire to achieve it, that's inducing a progression, right? If you have it on your mind, right? So if you don't know what your goal is, or if you forget about it, it still exists, right? But it's actually obviously relevant that you don't even know about it, right? So what is your system? Your system is the frequent bringing into mind of this desire, especially at key moments of decision making. Right? This is just so often overlooked, right? You just write a goal, and sometimes it just gets packaged away, right? And then it's not doing you much good, right? And so again, we just peel back that layer, right? All right, another example, a motivational reward, and especially in the field of human performance, certain types of motivational rewards especially are extremely important. Cash happens to be one of these, right? May sound very odd, but this is fairly well documented. I mean, if you are taking a measurement, let's say maximum power, that is notorious, or there's even more painful ones, by the way. But if you have a group of people and you're trying to get them to exercise to the max in a laboratory setting, it's fairly a repeatable experiment that if you offer that one group cash as a reward, they will do better than another group that really has the same level of physical fitness but was not offered cash, right? So that's a type of a motivational reward, right? But again, if the one group is given cash after the fact, but they never knew that that was a reward, that's not going to operate, right? So the system is firstly, it's the actualization of that reward at the appropriate point, but even more importantly, is the tying of that reward to the decision about how to pay, right? Okay, so that's all of the factors in your life. Some of them, exist right here and now, and that's great, and others don't, right? And so then the value of thinking about systems rather than just goals is because now you can look into your life and you can look at adding factors that are going to promote your progression, right? So before we leave this concept, just to touch on the other type of factors in our system, these are factors that are not promoting progression. In fact, they're doing the inverse. They are promoting regression. In other words, they are, again, they're the factors in our life that are taking us away from our goal. And I'm not proposing that. I mean, obviously, you wouldn't plan to have these things in your system. It's just that your system has to take into account, or at least a better system takes into account, that there are factors in your life that are operating against the way that you want to go. And so your system is going to address, it's going to identify them, and it's going to address them, right? So I'll just give you 3 quick examples here, right? An inadequacy or shortage, especially of necessary equipment, that's dissuading. I mean, running shoes. If you don't have this to go running, then that's dissuading, right? So your system, it's not just the remediation of that in a given instance. It's really the sustained remediation of it. Okay? Another example, which we sort of touched on briefly already, is it's the occurrence of failure, right? However you're defining that, the occurrence, the fact of having failed in a given instance, in a moment in time, that definitely has the potential to be a regressive force. Why? Because especially if you have a perfectionistic attitude, that is a way for you to now react by stopping all the good habits, right? Again, so here your system is just, you have to recognize this, or you're better off anyway if you recognize this tendency in yourself. Your system is the capturing of the fact of the failure, but more importantly, it's the remediation of that regressive influence. In other words, it's just thinking ahead, it's planning ahead. When this occurs, which I hope it doesn't, then this is what I have in my life that's perfectly self-activating, and it is going to act to getting me back on track with my good habit, right? And the third one, just third example before we move on here. Another example. Well, Heather brought up a couple minutes ago about nutrition, right? So I think that it's possible in human performance, it's possible to split the hair here, and I could be convinced that nutrition is a way of actually enhancing performance. It's a way of promoting progress. But that would be the case for high performance athletics. I think that especially for a recreational athlete, for non-elite levels of sport, I really think that nutrition is more of a potentially regressive, or I'll be specific, inadequate nutrition. That definitely has the potential to be a regressive influence. It can be what is behind you, not feeling like from a physical standpoint, not feeling that you want to exercise, not feeling that it's going to go well if you do, right? And so again, your system is going to be identifying the fact that's holding you back, and your system is going to take into account how you keep that at bay, right?
I think one of the things that comes to mind as I'm listening to Jeremy talk is the whole pandemic that we are experiencing right now, and how that has impacted the way that we are going about life. right back from the point where he was talking about not having equipment available. How many of you are struggling with maintaining that active lifestyle that you had before because you don't have the access to the things that you like to do or that have become those habitual behaviors for you? I know I struggled with that a little bit at first myself. I belong to a gym that's a small personal training studio, and not being able to go there was really difficult for me because I really relied on that extrinsic motivation that I was getting from being around other people and being in the atmosphere of other individuals and having a trainer that pushed me. I'm a kinesiologist myself, but I still like that extrinsic motivation. So it wasn't that I didn't know what to do. I just didn't feel energized to do it. And then to not have the equipment that I really wanted to be working on. I do have some limited things at home, but really having to transform that into a routine that I was happy with. Now, layer that on with the nutrition piece that Jeremy's talking about. In this, they've been talking about it on the news that the grocery stores are saying that the increase in volume of snack sales has gone up exponentially. So they're selling more potato chips, they're selling more cookies. So we have this layering effect that's going on of different systems that are working against us. And some of the things that can turn that around, I know for me, I stayed with my gym and they went online and they developed personal programs for me and gave me check-ins regularly to keep me motivated and accountable, which I think was really helpful for me. So those were my little rewards, as every week when I would talk to them, I would be getting that confirmation that I was doing okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the snacking is a very good example of potentially suppressive, like a regressive influence, right? It's mindless snacking, right? Okay, so now I hope that it's a little bit more clear, not just what a system is, but how to distinguish a system from a plan, especially if this is a plan that is especially ambitious and it's going to require you to make a lot of like overt choices that are themselves hard to make. Okay, so having made that distinction clear, now we're going to talk a little bit about, maybe you would call this the cash value of our webinar here today, which is so like what I encourage you to do and to think about to engineer better systems for your own self, systems that are conducive, like for physical fitness, speaking very generally. I'm not necessarily talking right now from the standpoint of high performance sport. I mean, that's going to be a more complex discussion, right? But for people who just want to become more physically fit, let's get into how that could work. Okay, so to understand, for some of what I'm about to suggest to you, it's worthy of a brief reminder here that you right now, in whatever state that you are joining us right now in this webinar, like whatever your physical fitness state is at right now, that is a lagging measure of habits, both good and bad, that you've had your whole life. Okay, and I would wager you that at least if you're like in my boat, some of these habits you couldn't tell me when you started this habit or why. Could have learned it from your parents, right? The point is that this is a solution to a problem, and it's very possible that this was an inadvertent solution that you came up with, right? So let's engineer the tips that I'm about to give you here now. They're engineering your having created systems. Okay, so first one is, well, this harkens back to the 5-step model that we covered a few minutes ago, right? It's about just a small introduction. So introducing the habit at a dose that is so small that it doesn't make sense to say no. But the level of detail that I'm going to emphasize here from a physical fitness standpoint is that there's at least 2 variables that I think you want to pay attention to in defining, in measuring whether or not this this habit it is that you're trying to start is low enough. I think you should pay attention to the amount of time it is that you are doing the habit, and not just that, but also the perceived exertion that you are experiencing while you're doing that habit. You need to make both duration and perceived exertion lower than you think you are initially ready for. So another example James Clear has talked about is the 5-minute gym trip. Right? So he has this one adherent to his systems. This person was, I think, clinically obese, needed to lose quite a bit of weight, was going to use physical activity as an instrument to do that. And the rule that this person came up with was, I'm going to start with going to the gym for 5 minutes. I mean, and so that is completely insufficient on its own to induce any long-term change, except maybe if you repeat that for a year every day, and especially if you grow it, right? So anyway, as I said, pay attention to the amount of time that it is that you're allocating. Pay attention especially to your perceived exertion. Make each of these very low. All right. Here's another suggestion I have for engineering good systems, physical fitness systems. It's to make the cues to doing it very obvious, and preferably with automatic elements. So let's just go into that a little bit. An example is, which Heather has brought up recently, is a routine time of day and place to think ahead of time what your answer to each of these is going to be. It's important not to be overly committed to that. I mean, if you take this to the extreme, this is a potentially regressive feature of a system, right? But in the main, you shouldn't have to be answering this question every single time. That's going to be a regressive influence, okay? So, and this relates to having a fairly routine time of day and place, but it's not the same. Here, also what's really important is a fairly consistent cycle of, you might call it training, but beyond that, physical exercise to rest, okay? This is an especially core feature of episode 1 of our webinar, was that without that physical rest, the biological system that is playing out inside you, it doesn't have what it needs to yield the benefits that you are looking for. I mean, it depends on how far you go with this, but you're certainly not achieving the biological potential of what it is you're doing, okay? All right, and a third example of obvious cues and automatic elements to these cues is, a rule, right? So Heather's talked about, I think, like the inversion of a habit that she realized she had recently. She inverted that to achieve better results. But the way she did that is that she had a rule, right? She just said, I'm going to have a rule in my life, right? So, and I think that if you think about the way you go through life, you probably have rules. I'll tell you one in my life, right? Like, I don't come home at night until I have done at least a certain amount of physical activity, of vigorous movement. I don't allow myself to do that. And usually, like, that rule, especially, it's very easy to accomplish that, right? But sometimes, like, especially if something goes awry in my set time of day or place, well, then that rule operates in a way that really does make the good habits. It promotes that good habit, right? Because I remember I can't come home till I've done this, right? So anyway, the objective here is for you to not have to repeatedly deal with the same set of questions and issues, right? And another thing is to make your, a feature of a good system is that it should make what it is that you are trying to do, or perhaps restrain yourself from doing, attractive and enjoyable. Now, I realize that, especially when it comes to physical exercise, perhaps you're going to accuse me of being biased because it happens to be something that I enjoy, right? Well, think deeper than that, right? Think about perhaps not just the thing it is that you're doing in the narrow sense, but what's happening around you as you're doing it. I like the example of of choosing another person to partner with you in doing this, who obviously is someone that you very much like to be around, right? And even better, right? You could take this too far, but sort of, if you can do this, like, limit your interaction with that person so that you need to do the exercise, if that's what it happens to be, right, in order to be around that person, right? At least most of the time, right? That's definitely going to be a progressive influence, but it doesn't have to be just like a training partner, right? This is another one that for some people is really going to potentially strike a key with you. Is to think about reserving a type of activity. Clothing that you really enjoy wearing for that type of activity, or at a minimum, like, think about whether or not what it is that you're wearing or that you have to wear when you're doing it. If you hate that, right, then it can be especially profitable to deal with that, right? Just make the goal, just suck it up, right? Okay, and yeah, so another idea I have about this that might be helpful is to use music to help change, well, to make your exercise time, as an example, right, to make that a change in your headspace. So to bring it about that the time you spent doing the activity, that in the end you say, oh, that was a nice break from these recursive thoughts that I've been having, and now I'm able to go back to these issues that I have to deal with for the rest of my workday, and I feel like I'm well rested. I will say, like, that's the influence that swimming gives me, right? It just there's something about swimming that requires me to focus my attention very narrowly, and I just don't have time. I don't have the attention anyway for those other thoughts that I want to block out for a little bit. So, and just two thoughts before we move on. Another suggestion I have is that you think about the rewards, okay, that you are especially attaching to success, but not just rewards that you're tying to outcome success. I think that it can be especially helpful to come up with rewards that are going to activate when you have achieved some process goals. So in Ironman, this could be a 12-month, easily a 12-month training cycle, right? I have certain rewards that would attach to making it to December, right? Just in my training, right? It was very arduous even to do that, right? Other rewards that would attach to doing well, there was money, for example, if you did well enough, right? But I think of the process goals as being necessary to, or at least inducing of me getting to that outcome goal. All right. Another example I have is that, or a suggestion I have is, if you have the money to do it, think about a self-paid, or better if you have a sponsor, but a self-paid fitness reward fund. So what do I mean by that? Well, I have this idea, like, if you could think of making a cash deposit to a fund that is set aside to fund your fitness needs, right? If you think of, like, think about it this way, like, set aside a given amount of time that you want your habit to persist for. And if you made the right choices, if you adhere to that good habit, then make it so that when you get to that, or at the end of that time, you're going to make that cash deposit, right? As we discussed with previously, in performance, the cash is a factor that can really induce very high levels of performance and very, very strict adherence. So
I'm not much one for doing cash habits myself. I do. I love Lisa's idea of the mommy workout jar. And she gives herself a toonie every time she works out, and then gets herself something new, which I love. And I do try to buy myself new workout clothes that make me feel, as Jeremy said, make me feel good. And, you know, I'm typically a person that wears like a lot of black. So when I go to the gym, I wear lots of color because it makes me feel different and good. But one of the things that really helps to motivate me is what you're seeing off on the screen there is a habit tracker. And I use it as my reward system too. So one of the things I try to do when I'm doing my habit tracker is to put in shade in the blocks with lots of color. And I try to aim to never miss more than 2 days in a row of that shading in. So at the end of the week or at the end of the month, I look at this beautiful colored in habit tracker that really helps me with that motivation. And it may not cost anything and I may not get a prize, but there's this sense of self-gratification that really promotes me to continue. And it acts as a reward for me. So just something to think about, because we don't always have to spend money. Absolutely, Karenza. We often use that in our weight wellness program. We encourage people to pull out the stickers, you know, just like we had when we were kids. Put on a sticker that says good job, or the sparkly stickers, or even the little stars that you used to get on your rewards card. It's so simple, but really, really powerful for us. So my download for you today is actually that habits tracker that you saw on the last sheet. So if you guys would like to have a copy of that as something to get you going, there's lots of beautiful variations that you can use of that. But this one is just as simple to use.
I can make one brief mention here, Heather?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, just before we move on, everything that we just talked about to promote good behavior, if what it is, if what you're trying to do is to suppress the bad habit in your life, all you do is you just invert everything that we just talked about, right? You take away the rewards, you take away the enjoyability of it, you take away the cues to do it, right? And you make it very difficult to do.
Randy says he would like a banana sticker, so I'm all for that one. All right, everybody, we're going to leave you today. I know we ran a little bit over because of my technology issues at the beginning, but I just want to leave you with the idea that a system is far more than just a training plan. It's all of those foundations of deep and great work that you do on a regular basis. A system is something you do every day, or at least mostly every day, that increases your odds of happiness and success in the long run. If you do something every day, it's a system. If you're wanting to achieve something in the future, it's a goal. And those things can complement each other, but they need to be paired together. So make your goal, your habits, and your setup of your system so simple and small that you can't say no to it. Chunk it down into small sections once it gets too big, that you start to look at it and go, oh, okay, maybe I'm going to start to wane a little bit. I'm going to chunk this down into smaller sections. And resist the impulse to be a perfectionist. There is no such thing as perfect, and I know I struggle with it myself, but that all or nothing thinking often just lands us sitting on the couch with roots planted on our butt. And if we can encourage ourselves to just accept imperfection, we're going to get a lot further. Pace yourself, as Jeremy said. Take it in small little chunks. And if something isn't working for you, don't throw away your goal. Don't throw away the entire system. Look at it, reevaluate it. Don't pack it in, but repack that bag. So I want to leave you guys with our resources, as we always do. You can see that when we're talking about systems, it's much more complicated than just talking about the training plan itself. So if there's something that's a barrier for you that's beyond the motivation to exercise or beyond the motivation in the kitchen, consider reaching out for help. If you don't know where to start with your fitness plan, there's always the option for those of you that are serving members to use the DFIT website, which can help you to plan a great program, or use the facilities that are at your access, which by the sounds of it will be opening in the next little while. So, make sure you tap into the resources that are available for you. Thank you, Chad. Thank you, everybody, for your gracious comments. And I'll just have you leave today with a couple of our last polls that are just our mandatory ones, letting us know, and I think I did them right, as opposed to yesterday where I only had the option that you could disagree because I mistyped. So Thank you. I'm glad to see everybody agrees today instead of disagrees with me. That was a little disheartening for me, but my own.
Heather, were there any questions in the chat that I could talk about? Or?
No, we didn't really have questions, just a lot of good comments that confirmed what you were already talking about. So, and the last one, are you satisfied with our platform? Okay. I know that it lacks some pizzazz, but it does meet all the standards of the security that we require within our organization, but they are continuing to consider other options for you. So that's it for us today, guys. Don't forget to join Carissa and Jeremy next week. They have a great session planned for you, talking about recovery and rest, and how to go about getting the most out of your workouts with regards to planning that well. So have a wonderful day, everyone. I know some of you like to take a screenshot at the end, so I won't stay on too long, but I'll just hold out for a couple of seconds to make sure everyone doesn't have questions.
Thank you for joining us, everybody.
Yes.
From Jeremy.
Thanks, Jeremy, very much for joining us. All right. Thanks, Diane. Thanks, Rhonda. Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, Corinza. Awesome. Missing people. Thank you, Lisa. All right, I'm going to log out, Jeremy, because there's a good chance somebody else is trying to use the site right away. So,
okay.
Okay, because they have them timed half an hour
Right.
apart.
Yeah.